Hey guys, what's up? Loco here. It's official, Doublelift on TSM. It got leaked, approved, and everything, so we're gonna go over all the little details that you might have missed and everything that you need to know.
Something in here? Peter, what are you doing in there?
Oh, I'm teamless again, dude. Can you help me?
Sorry that I haven't been posting as much. It's the whole quarantine thing and also the season's over, so I've been taking a step back and spending more time doing the stuff that I like. Not that I don't like YouTube, but it is very grindy, trying to do a daily video per day, so yeah. I'll get back to it eventually, but for now, I'll only do videos when I can make them really high quality or there's something very important to talk about. So this whole Doublelift thing, there's actually a lot of information that came out. Doublelift did a vlog. Actually, that's where most of the information came out from. But now I can finally talk about some of the stuff that he talked about. There are people on Teamliquid, directly and indirectly, some of the players, the staff, and other people on the team that have talked to me about what went on during the season. And Doublelift is giving his perspective on what went on during the season for Teamliquid. So let's address that. Let's go through his vlog, check out some of the points he made, and make sure that we're getting both sides of things. Because yeah, his vlog was Doublelift vlog. He told it from his own perspective. I'm not saying that he lied, but I'm saying most of the time there's multiple perspectives to things, and when you hear the one perspective, you usually get not the complete story. So let's talk about the first point. He wanted to play with the same roster at the end of 2019.
We lost at Worlds, we lost out of groups again, XD, big meme. As usual, and as essentially on every single team that I've been on, I told the management and coaches that I want to play with the same roster again because I truly believe that that was a good roster, and if things had gone a little bit differently, we would have made it out of groups, we would have potentially made it further, but I was the only one on the entire team that wanted to keep Jake, Smithy. The reason why is pretty much I think me and Jake had great communication. We narrated the game really well. The team's decisions were a lot smoother and cleaner. And I honestly just worked with him so much. 2.5 years, 5 total splits, won every single split that I played with him.
This is the whole kicking Xmithy for Broxa thing, where he thought Xmithy was really good. And there was also a lot of problems on the team regarding the mid and jungle. He admits that they had a weak mid and jungle.
You know, the idea that our mid jungle was really weak at Worlds was absolutely 100% true. But to pin that all on Jake or to say that he took he has the lion's share of the blame is just, to me, it's ridiculous because I think it's a two-way street, right? And I think both Jensen and Jake could have tried harder to work better together. And it wasn't just one person's problem, but everyone wanted to get a new jungler except for me.
But he doesn't think it's fair to blame all the problems on Xmithy. So I can completely see from Doublelift's perspective why he would want to continue playing with Xmithy. He's had previous success with Xmithy on CLG. He also is really good friends with him, and the playstyle for Doublelift and Xmithy matches up really, really well. Xmithy was really good about playing around bot lane, he was really good about setting up for team fights, and he was really communicative. He made Doublelift's job really easy. Now, when it comes to the mid and jungle thing, TL did have one of the worst mid and jungle duos in terms of top international teams, and I do understand it's not fair to just blame it on Xmithy, but I can also see TL side completely. Xmithy is what I would say is more of a chill player. He doesn't put in as much work in terms of solo queue, and he doesn't have the best mechanics, but he's someone that's very knowledgeable and that's very comfortable playing in high pressure situations. Yeah, there's definitely good things about Xmithy, but also there were parts about his gameplay that he really didn't put the work forward in, and I can see from a team perspective why they think the natural progression is replacing Xmithy and getting a more mechanically strong jungler so they can build upon the mid and jungle 2v2. Yes, Jensen did have champion pool problems, but Jensen still was really strong mechanically, and one thing unique about Jensen is he's really good when he really tries, and normally when he goes to international events he ups his game and he really tries. His 2019 Worlds wasn't the best. The Nvidia performance was pretty garbage.
Impact down, they're looking to break mid.
And with a split on bottom lane, Doublelift's not here. Look for the body slam into the knockup. The ult comes across as well. That's an egg, and that's gonna get poached as well. Turret falls, down one. 2 straight kills, the Drake, the outer turret.
But yeah, the team decided that they needed to replace Xmithy for the team to get better. One thing they probably didn't realize is by replacing Xmithy, they're breaking apart a lot of the things that made their team work previously, and they had to put in extra work to get back to a new high, and it seems like they didn't do that. So number 2.
Yeah, that kind of segues into my motivational issues in the beginning of the split, which is a huge meme now. Everyone's like, oh man, is Doublelift are you motivated, bro? Yeah, dude, I was obviously really unmotivated at the very beginning, and I'm gonna take 100% blame for that. That was not fair to my teammates. I've apologized numerous times to my teammates and publicly that I really fucked up and I wasn't giving it my full attention and focus, and I should have. I didn't want any roster changes, and that segued into a situation where we weren't gonna play. We played with Pobelter jungle, some with Mike Young, and some with Sternfire, and I just felt like we were essentially waiting for these visa issues, which potentially never would have been resolved, but actually did get resolved, luckily, for our real roster to come. And I was just like, well, I didn't even want any of this stuff, any of these problems to be a possibility to begin with. I just wanted to play with the same roster, which I thought was great, and I thought our team was good.
Unmotivated at the start, didn't care to play with the shitty team. Talking about the shitty team, it's when they had junglers like Mike Young, Pobelter, and Sternfire subbing in. Actually, Sternfire played in LCS, but yeah. So he actually admits that it was his fault for being unmotivated, and how if there was a clone of himself that he had to play with, yeah, it would be really bullshit that a star player or a key player isn't putting in the work and is being really unmotivated. I mean, good on Doublelift, he's admitting problems that he had and the stuff that he fucked up on, and I actually think it's very, very fair. I'm not saying it's good for him to be unmotivated, but if you are someone that won LCS 4 times in a row and you're getting told that they're going to replace a good friend on your team that you think shouldn't be replaced, yeah, it's going to pretty much suck. And we're all human. Yes, people should put in all their 100% effort, 200% effort when they're playing in competitive league. Yeah, they're getting paid so much, but at the end of the day, pro players are humans and they're gonna have ups and downs, and this was a down for Doublelift and he recognizes it. I don't think there's much more to talk on there. And also playing with the shitty jungle part, it must suck, and not knowing whether the visa issues would get resolved and having that in the back of your head. Man, I just wanted to play with Smithy for another split. We would be a really good team. We didn't need to switch things up. Now we're going through all these visa problems and we might be stuck with Sternfire jungle for the entire split. It's gonna do a number on your mental. Let's move on. So this is like the big one, and this is the one I really want to talk about.
So had a terrible attitude and I wasn't playing well in the beginning of the split. I get benched. My teammates have feedback, and normally for me, I'm a really direct person. I want people, I'm not going to call anybody out in particular, I want people to be direct with me. I want you to tell me if, hey, like, that was a bad play, you're playing bad, and if you have a real problem, I want to hear it from you. And if you feel like it's too awkward as a teammate, you know, then that's okay. The next best thing is to tell the coaches, which is what they did. So negative feedback was given to the coaches about me throughout the split, or even before the split even started, essentially, right? Like, because we had already been practicing for a while. I wasn't given the feedback. I'll just tell you this guy's outright. Like, I was given it after I got benched as justification that I got benched, and I feel like that's pretty messed up, because usually you give people, like, I caused a bad situation to happen, but you give people not just a warning, but you give people feedback, criticism, so that they can change their behavior, but you don't bench them to change their behavior, you know what I mean? So, I mean, in my world, there's like 2 versions of this, where like one is they just kind of used it as an excuse to bench me, which is possible. And the other one, like, they just didn't feel like it was super important. Like, they had like faith that I was going to switch it around by myself without it. So I'm not really sure what happened there.
Teammates gave critique about Doublelift to coaches. Coaches didn't give that critique back to Doublelift. And after the benching thing happened, that's when the coaches told Doublelift about the problems that the teammates were having. So this was happening way long before, and here's how I understand it. Doublelift is someone that's very loud. Doublelift is someone that's very aggressive, and you might say alpha in a chat. He says what's on his mind, and he doesn't really have a filter about it. So when you're playing with someone like that, and he has a lot of power on the team, I do imagine it is very hard for teammates to speak up, and it didn't seem like Doublelift was putting in the effort with the whole Leena thing, and then the whole China bootcamp / not really bootcamping as a team. Teammates had complaints, and from their perspective, they gave the critique to Doublelift. But Doublelift is someone that likes having a discussion, that likes having arguments, that doesn't just like letting things be. So he probably felt like it's just natural part of like team chemistry, natural part of doing reviews and whatnot. So yeah, I can understand from why Doublelift's perspective, he doesn't feel like teammates ever gave the critique, but people don't critique in the exact same way that you do Doublelift. People have different ways of going about things. So they tell the coaches because they feel like they can't talk to Doublelift, or they felt like they already did talk to Doublelift and it's not getting through. And then the coach's perspective is like, hey, we have so much success based on our teamwork and how we functioned before. I think it would create a lot of strife within the team if I directly talk to Doublelift and all this feedback were made known. When player gives feedback privately to the coach and directly doesn't talk to the other player, sometimes it's due to nervousness, shyness, some kind of team dynamic bullshit, or sometimes it's not to give that critique, sometimes it's just venting. So there are reasons why coaches would hold back that feedback. This one's really messy, because from what I understand and what I heard, they definitely did tell Doublelift and talk to Doublelift about the problem, but I also don't think Doublelift is someone that's gonna lie on a vlog. He's just someone that's very straightforward. He's not someone that does something and kind of acts in like a snaky manner. It's just his perspective on what happened is very different from the other people on Teamliquid. It probably feels really unfair for him, where if people have all these problems, why were they never brought up? Why was it only brought up after the benching? Where probably it's somewhere in the middle. They did bring up the problems. Doublelift probably didn't see it as big of a problem that the other people did, and he just went on his way, and it just got bombarded onto him after the whole benching thing happened, and it's like getting used against him. Ugh, this one's messy. Let's move on to the next one. Number 4, Steve and Broxa supported Double all the way through.
So, as I worked my way back into the team, the only people who were really supportive of me were Steve and Broxa. So Steve was the only one who was like perfectly honest with me and telling me these things like, hey, your teammates had feedback for you. They didn't tell you. They told the coaches didn't tell you. That was bad. And so Steve was completely transparent with me on the whole process. He was actually like trying to figure out what happened, right? And so, he was uncovering like details of the situation that I didn't know, he didn't know. So Steve was really supportive, and Broxa was really supportive, and like he was a teammate that like I could lean on, and I felt like he was my friend from inside the team who was always like asking me how I was doing and trying to sympathize with me and stuff like that.
I believe that 100%. Steve and Broxa, these seem like people that would support Doublelift. Steve loves Doublelift. It's just the context of what Doublelift is saying. By him saying Steve and Broxa were the MVPs and they really supported me throughout this whole thing, he indirectly calls out Core JJ, he indirectly calls out Impact, Jensen, Dodo, Kane, rest of the staff on Teamliquid. Oh man, I don't think he thought this through. I think he just meant to say Steve and Broxa were the ones supporting me, and I'm grateful for them. But yeah, it kind of puts the other people on the chopping block and calls out them for not supporting Double the same way. After the whole benching, Doublelift was holding back, and instead of talking like he normally did, he was a little bit more nicer, let's say.
So eventually, I do get my spot back. It's because we lost to CLG and they were the 10th place team, and the coaches were really upset about that, so they subbed me back in. I'm being told tons of stuff like, don't make too many calls, it's really confusing. Just feed information, it makes the team play better if you just do that. So I'm trying to do that. I'm not argumentative, by the way. I'm actually just doing my absolute best to be on my best behavior because I don't want to get benched again. So again, I think like first off, I'm holding back a lot of my opinions because I'm afraid for my job, honestly. I'm afraid to lose my job again. I'm afraid of like the backlash of getting benched again. Secondly, I want my teammates to feel like I am being cooperative, which I think is actually important. You should be able to pick your battles and be cooperative most of the time, and sometimes like stand your ground. That's my thought on it.
So from this one, oh my god, I understand his point of view completely. You're on thin ice. You feel like you can't say what needs to be said. You feel like this is not how we normally solve our problems. And Doublelift, more so than anyone, is very much a straightforward, like head into the wall problem solver. So he must felt extremely frustrated and kind of scared for his job, because yeah, anytime he feels like he's going back to his old ways and what he knows works, he might get his spot taken away. Oof, what an awkward situation to be in. He did voice a lot of his frustrations through his streams where he talked about he can't be primary shot caller again. Oh my god, Double. It is a little bit more understandable now because I had the Teamliquid perspective and now I'm getting the Double perspective. They just couldn't solve the problems afterwards, and I think they just did a really bad job of setting standards and setting expectations once they brought Doublelift back, because they benched Doublelift and told him, yeah, it's going to be on a week-to-week basis, where that's just kind of shitty. They should have just been all in about tactical or all in about Doublelift once they lost that game with tactical and they brought him back. But to put him on thin ice, I don't think the team dynamic was ever the same after the benching thing happened, and I don't think they hashed it out in the correct way. I mean, let's just move on. I gave my piece. So number 6, this is moving on from the whole TL stuff and moving on to the TSM stuff, moving on to the off season. He wanted to go to good teams. TSM was one of them, and Steve helped him out.
We're talking about like through multiple talks, days and days after the split ends, and he told me like, there's a possibility that you might get traded. It's just a possibility. Don't take offense to this, but if you were to be traded, what teams would you go to? I gave him a list, obviously a really short list, because I don't want to go any shitter teams. I'd rather retire. And TSM was on the list. That's how I ended up in the process of being traded to Teamliquid. Wow, that was a loud Windows update. So, yeah, Steve was honestly pretty cooperative through the whole thing. He has full rights to literally send me to any team that he wants. He could have sent me to like random region of the world. He could have sent me to a absolute like bottom org, but I really appreciate that he didn't.
TSM was the first option for Doublelift. So Steve and Andy are good friends and they want to help each other when it makes sense, and it makes perfect sense right here. So that's what they did. And yeah, I don't think any team really had a shot with Doublelift other than TSM. Number 7, felt like he didn't give up on his teammates, but his teammates gave up on him.
I never give up on my teammates. I almost never. Okay, like there's times like early on in CLG where I'm just like, we should probably get a new player here. For the last like 4 years, 3 or 4 years, I did not give up on my teammates. I always believed in them as long as they were working hard at it, that, you know, and they were reasonable about it, that they could change and that they could improve. I felt like it was really unfair for my teammates, or not even just my teammates, just like the whole situation just felt a little unfair to me, and it made me feel like I was gonna force myself back into a team that didn't actually want to play with me. Nobody was like saying like, oh no, like for sure I want to play with Peter again. Like that's just not how it felt to me. Maybe they were, but it didn't feel that way, I guess.
Double. I know other people on the team didn't put in their best effort, but also you have to see it from their perspective, where early in the season, where you weren't really caring and you were unmotivated, it felt like you gave up on the season and you really didn't care. And it might be hypocritical on their end where they aren't putting in their best effort also, but you as the leader of the team, you as the face of the brand, you as the face of LCS carry different kind of weight. So they probably felt like you gave up, and that's why they gave up. And in a situation where you're the leader, you have a lot of power. There's a lot of good things that come with it. There's also a lot of scrutiny that comes with it too. It's kind of shitty that his teammates gave up on him, but in a sense, he gave up on himself and he was just working against the whole momentum of everything that happened. This season was just really, really competitive due to C9. Well, it wasn't really competitive. Most of the teams were shit. This season was tough for anyone that wasn't C9, so the whole weight of the dynasty falling, and it was just a really easy person to point a finger at. I don't really have a strong opinion on this one. I think this is just shitty situation stacking on top of everything that's happening. But players and staff within Teamliquid had a very, very low opinion of Doublelift, and even towards the whole exit part, right? Whole Doublelift leaving. Teamliquid is very happy. There's staff and there's players on the roster that are actually very happy that Doublelift is leaving, and they're very content to start anew with Tactical, and they feel like they are moving into a new chapter. They feel like they get to leave behind baggage. So it's probably very fair from Doublelift's perspective to think that teammates did give up on him. Number 8, it wasn't poaching. He wouldn't join shitty teams like CLG and Dignitas even if Leena worked for those teams.
Lastly, like I think what's permeating Reddit and Twitter and stuff is like, oh, this is so inappropriate. He has a relationship with Leena. Like there was poaching. Oh my god. Like there's a conspiracy. He literally tanked his split and his. Okay, let me just address all this really fast. Yeah, me and Leena are in a relationship. No, she didn't poach me. No, I didn't. I didn't intentionally ruin my reputation. I didn't intentionally sabotage my team and my own performance, and literally not even make playoffs because I wanted out of the team. No, that didn't happen. Everyone who knows me at all knows that I'm extremely competitive and I have a ton of pride, and I felt awful about my performances. Just think that that theory is absolutely ridiculous. If Leena was on Dignitas, no, I would not join Dignitas. Like, no. If Leena was on CLG, no, I would not join CLG. Like, if Leena was not on TSM, would I join TSM? Absolutely yes, right? Like, that has nothing to do with it. Like, I joined because I think the roster is really good, because the org is super hyped, and the team is, and just my past relationships with Bjergsen and Bio. No, I did not only join. Like, I think if you remove it from the equation, my decision making would be the exact same.
I do think that's 100% correct. I don't think there was any kind of poaching. I don't think Leena coerced him into joining TSM by telling him to, go inch your face off on Teamliquid. We'll have a home for you. I do think it looks just terrible. It looks so fucking bad. A top player having a really, really bad split and then joining a team with his girlfriend on it. I don't think any kind of foul play happened from Doublelift or TSM or Leena's end. It just looks really, really bad from the outside. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I think Monty and Doran spoke enough on this part. And also the random shade at CLG and Dignitas. I wouldn't even fucking consider joining your team even if it had my girlfriend working for you guys. Oh man, Double. This whole vlog is just shade at random ass people without Doublelift recognizing he's throwing shade. And yeah, this is kind of what I mean regarding his teammate and Doublelift's friction, right? You guys can kind of see, right? Doublelift just speaks his mind, and he's always giving critiques, and he's always just being so straightforward without thinking about how it might make other people feel. So you can kind of understand the dynamic there. So those were all the points from Doublelift's blog. There's still other things to talk about regarding Leena and also Kabe, so let's get to those. So Leena, she's taking a heat from so many different angles. And I want to be fair about this, because I think there's a lot of unfair critique towards Leena, but also Leena isn't innocent in all this. Maybe innocent isn't the right word, but Leena did bring some of this onto herself. So let's start with that. From the very start of this relationship, this was going to be a relationship that's going to be looked at very, very closely and with very negative perspective. She used to date Andy, who still owns TSM, who she still works under, and Doublelift did play on TSM before. So even from the very start of this relationship, Leena isn't stupid. Doublelift isn't stupid. They had to know this was gonna be a huge talking point, and this was gonna be something that's looked at very closely within everyone in League of Legends, not just in League of Legends and esports. Anytime TL did badly or did really well versus TSM, this was gonna get memed on. Anytime they were seen in public or they talked about stuff or they openly flaunted stuff, like this was gonna get talked about. And that's probably the second point I want to bring up. They were openly flaunting and they were just being very, very public about them dating. Sure, they can celebrate their relationship and it is their right to post it on social media, do what the fuck they want to do with it, but also do know the more public you make it, the more criticism you're gonna receive. And you made the relationship very, very, very public while knowing it's also a very contentious relationship. There is definitely a forbidden love part to it. And yeah, they probably didn't have any of these consequences in mind when they first started dating. And it is shitty in a sense where you're getting criticism just for dating someone you like, but you are Andy's ex-girlfriend and you also are working on TSM. These are realities of the situations. I really don't know what to say about this. It feels unfair from Leena's perspective, I get that, but in reality, some of this was definitely brought on by yourself, Leena. You also have to get that point. I mean, there is a silver lining. The worst of it is over, right? The trade got approved. Now you guys can start really just focusing on summer. Sure, there's gonna be a lot of ups and so many fucking downs as this team does badly at times, but it's something you're gonna have to live with. You made your bet, now you have to lay in it. Lastly, Kaveh. Oh man, Kaveh, I forgot about you completely. You are getting royally fucking screwed. I talked about it in other videos. Yes, he did underperform in spring, but not to the degree where he should get kicked. It's just the whole situation is Doublelift is pretty much the GOAT of LCS, and there's an opportunity cost to TSM not picking up Doublelift. He could be going to other teams. It was a no-brainer move for TSM to pick up Doublelift once he became available. And yeah, Kaveh is just a casualty of the situation. So the big question is, where is he gonna go? And I actually have no idea. I'm hearing conflicting things. I heard that he's getting tryouts in Europe. I heard he is strongly going back to Europe, but there's things that I know for a fact that makes it seem like he's not going to go back to Europe. So his girlfriend, who moved to California with him in the whole joining TSM progress, had to go back early to Europe due to the whole corona and the visa situation. But as far as I know, he's still in North America. Right now it's about 4 p.m. after they announced the Doublelift thing, and 18 hours ago I know for a fact he played a solo queue game. So he's still in NA, which is really weird because the only reason he would be in NA is to talk with a team, and he's not 100% decided if he's going to stay in NA or go back to Europe. If he was 100% decided on he's going back to Europe, he would already be back in Europe. At least that's how I see it. So my guess is as good as yours. And for the record, I still think he's going to go to CLG. That is the one team that has the import slot available where the AD carry really underperformed. So yeah, it just makes sense in my mind, but it's not any kind of rumors I heard. I haven't talked to anyone from CLG, nor have I talked to people that have told me that he's going to CLG. It is just my best guess given all the circumstances. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I could shed light on some of the things that happened that didn't get talked about, and you don't feel like I'm just regurgitating content, because I definitely know some of you motherfuckers are commenting that down below. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Anyways, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And one last thing, I'm not crazy, I'm just Loco.
Yeah, let's go. I ain't the first with the curse, with the thirst that I wanna be better, not worse, man, it hurts. I'm on this earth with my words, and I put them all together, insert, cause I wanna have worth. Working hella hard till they put me in the dirt. Gonna go far, man, listen to my words.